Hey guys, Sam here. I went ahead and decided I was going to make the benchmark video going against my better judgment that these graphics drivers are not the optimized ones that you're gonna see. These are the initial release ones. Um, these drivers actually were installed on this laptop on the 2nd of January, right? That's the install date. So we're actually exactly a month off for drivers. Like I said, Razer hasn't released a new version yet. I've looked. Um, they did finally update their support site. So before the 2019 15-inch blade wasn't even on the support site, but now it's actually showing up on there. But I still didn't see a link for drivers yet. So until they get those up, I'm gonna go ahead and show you the benchmarks that the results I had, and I'll let you guys, see them. I'd say don't make a judgment on whether or not you're going to purchase this laptop based on what you're seeing as of right now. You really want to see what the optimized drivers are going to look like here, right? So this is what I was looking for, right? This is the RTX gaming laptops. This is what NVIDIA had said they were going to allow as the ranges for your boost clocks and your base clocks, right? And if you look, there is actually a huge discrepancy between your minimum value and your maximum value on here. Not so much in the boost clock rates, but the actual base clock rates themselves, right? So what we see here is this is the this is the one I ran um, for Fire Strike Extreme. It's not I didn't run it with the NVIDIA, or not NVIDIA, the Razer Cortex software, which will optimize it for you. I always thought that was kind of a gimmick, but there was actually a noticeable difference between the two for score wise. But there's a few things in here that should be noted. Graphics driver is not approved. Um, like I said, these drivers, I think we're going to see a lot better drivers coming out for this. So as for the GPU, we can see here that the memory clock's at 1500 megahertz. And then we have our actual clock speed here, which I'm guessing this might be your base clock speed, and then this is the actual boost clock speed. The issue with that is that if you look here, the boost clock speed is is not um is not lined up with that, right? Uh, it's kind of weird because it's I don't know why I'm seeing, you know, 1875 megahertz here and 1590 on there. Now, whether or not it's overclocking it, which it might be, because like I said, if we go on here, right, and we're gonna look, I'm just gonna show this one real quick. Let's compare the results online as it says, and then we can look up here and we can see that this score, right, is it's highly above regular gaming laptops out there with like a 980 in it. This is It's not up there with the 4K PC, which is what 980 SLI, but I mean it's definitely up there, and it's looking good. The issue though that we're gonna see here once again is that this does not look correct to me. And once again, I think that has to do with the driver version. It's not optimized and it might not be reading values properly. If it is, then people should be happy because it's showing that Razer is overclocking the graphics cards. And I didn't run this, like I said, with with Razer Cortex. So whether or not that's this is a true value or not, I don't know. Um, I can only go with what the graph says, right? But we'll go into here and we'll look at these monitoring details. I'll go ahead and step through these for you. We have a high frame rate that we hit of 62.48 FPS. I don't think the frame rates are correct either, though, and I think that has to do with the G-Sync technology. I don't know about the monitor saying if it was G-Sync compatible or not, or if it's utilizing G-Sync technology, but when I'm running the benchmarks, it specifically tells me that the G-Sync is on, that I need to turn G-Sync off. So I think it is recognizing that there is a G-Sync, and it specifically says that your FPS is going to be, can be inaccurate if it's running with G-Sync technology. So when I'm watching this, and like I was seeing it like where it said it was dropping down to, where are we? Where's a low one that we hit? Like even these like 30s and 25 frames per second that that these hit for just a little bit, it was still super smooth to watch during the video. So I don't know if it was just like a very like a micro stutter or something that was dropping it down to that rate. But looking at the actual video that was running in it, it was actually really smooth. So I don't know on that. People wanted to know about thermals a lot. I think our peak here was that I was hitting was the 73. It's kind of cut off there, but it was 73 Celsius, 73 degrees Celsius for the GPU, and 74, let's say 75 for the CPU. So the CPU actually got hotter than the GPU, which I guess could be expected depending on what it's doing at the time. And that was right when the physics test started, right? So we saw that spike happen, and then it kind of just stayed up there in the low 70s, high 60s for the data. So combined test, we're looking at like this right here is actually really impressive for me for the score that it was getting, right? I mean, according to this is, I went back over here to the web. Um, According to this, it's, you know, it's scoring pretty high on it, which is weird. I don't know how it could score that high when it's showing frame rates. I don't know how they base it on, if they just don't include FPS, but you'd think that maybe that score would have been lower. It's hard to say on there. But either way on that, when we go over, see here it says right here, please note that G-Sync can affect your score by limiting the frame rate. So I don't know about this FPS stuff because even when I was doing it, it told me to disable it. So once again, this was the non-optimized. We can see that the GPU was pretty much pegged out the entire time, other than when it started doing physics tests, and I'm guessing that's because it was doing a lot of calculations on the CPU, which is why you also saw kind of like a CPU spike there. But either way, I was actually, I mean, seeing at the score it got was pretty cool. So here's the like I said, this is Firestrike non-optimized, so I didn't launch it with Cortex. What surprised me was when I actually loaded it with Cortex. So we had a 9,138 was our score, and that was with the non-optimized. So now I'm gonna go ahead and open up the optimized one, right? And we're going to wait for that to pop up, and you can see here that there was actually a noticeable difference between it. I didn't really know what to expect because I always thought those were kind of like gimmicky, like, oh, let me do this optimization, but it looks like they're actually doing stuff with that. We'll go ahead and let me see the details on system information. I don't, so the clock even here, yeah, so our clocks for the GPU here is 1860. Is that the same 1860? I actually want to look that up now. I don't. Let's go 1860. So not optimized. Showing up the same here. So that's funny. Yeah, so it is different, right? So the not optimized version, though it got a lower score, which is weird, the clock speed is actually higher from what it's showing. Don't ask me. I don't know. Like I said, once again, I think it has to do with the drivers that we're seeing used with this, and they're pretty much alpha drivers, I would say, almost, because this is like the first release of drivers that came with these. So we'll go back down here and let's look at this is with the optimized one, right? We're back at it. We'll go ahead and look at the peak frame rates we got here again. 62 is the highest frame rate we got again. So once again, with the optimized, with the score being higher, we still had a lower peak frame rate of because I want to say the other one was 62.49 if I remember correctly. So yeah, weird. And once again, I was running these all back to back. We have a higher GPU temperature, 75 degrees Celsius. The other one was 73. So yeah, that might have to do with the optimization as well. Not sure if it's, I don't know why it would let it get hotter. But once again, these tests were going back to back to back, and I can tell you it's pretty crazy. People were asking about like thermals and how hot these things get. The laptop itself was not really hot. The only part that really got, like noticeably hotter than the rest of the laptop is the small little piece above the top of the keyboard. That's kind of close to the screen. That area got hot, but the bottom part where your palms rest and stuff like that, I've had a lot. Like even my MacBook would get pretty hot with my palms, depending on what it was I was doing. Was actually this one was really good actually. I have to say I was pretty impressed by that. So I mean we can see the temperatures here, GPU load once again with the optimized settings. The entire time was pretty much peaked out. And then we see here during the physics test it dropped, but then we also have a CPU frequency the entire time was pegged out. Um, but yeah, so yeah, we can see here that this is when I guess it kicked down into, yeah, because that's below the base clock speed. Once again, I'm gonna say that it has to do with the drivers, is why we're seeing kind of some weird results in it. But I mean, overall, you have to be pretty happy with that because if you look at, let's see here, we look at this, and I mean, yeah, 9337 is still up there, and it's close to the 4K gaming PCs, not gaming laptops, right? So if you're looking at just performance wise, I mean, from what the benchmark says, it says it's good. I just even here, right? Submit a score from a system with 12 or more logical CPU cores, because this one has 12. I think this one does have 12 because it's a 6 core. And then, yeah. So, red hot. Can you handle the Fire Strike Extreme? Apparently we can. It's over 9,000. It's over 9,000. There's no way that could be right. And then here, only experts should try to push their CPU more than 50% over stock. So they are overclocking something, I'm guessing. The detail, I didn't really get into the reviewing the default clock speeds for the processor because not many people were really worried about that. I think you're at a place in computing where unless you're using really processor intensive type apps, it doesn't really matter. You're still good. But see here, it says G-Sync enabled, true. There's nowhere in the GeForce control panel to disable the G-Sync, so I don't know how they're doing that and how it's getting connected into the monitor. But yeah, so here we go with that. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna go through these other ones kind of faster because it's Saturday. I was supposed to spend some time with my family. I work all week, so yeah, I'm doing this because everyone had asked for the results. So hopefully this is what you guys were looking for. Like I said, it's not exactly what I would consider 100% accurate just because of the driver. So here's Port Royal. Port Royal was for uh, Port Royal is the ray tracing one, from what I remember correctly. So Port Royal, we got 4250. Go ahead and show the details here on the monitoring. We hit a max frame rate of 34.36 frames per second. And in this one, I can say that when it was down here saying 1718, I could definitely notice that the frame rate wasn't smooth, right, when I was watching it. But I can't say that it was at 19 or 17 even frames per second. It didn't look like that to me. I mean, 17 frames per second, you're looking at a lot of skipping, a lot of stuttering. And to me, I mean, you could definitely tell there was some skipping in it, but it didn't seem to me like it was a 17 frames per second issue. Um, I'd say more like around this during this time, it was probably like in the high 20s, like close to 30 frames per second is what I'd say. But once again, I mean, that's just my eyes, but I do look at computers quite a bit. So as we're going through here, we can see that the GPU temperature this entire time, and I mean, this is during the ray tracing, stays consistent at 72, 73. We're talking low 70s to right here where we hit. Oh no, well that was the CPU. CPU hits 60, hits 83, I want to say, or 82. I can't tell with the charts here. They, for some reason, the charts are just, yeah, they didn't do a very good job with the charts. Entire time GPU is maxed out. Our GPU clock kicked up once again from 100. Like, I don't think that's right. I don't think you can have a base clock on that for that low, unless maybe that's when it swaps over. So that's maybe what it runs out when it runs at when it's swapping from the Intel one to the actual NVIDIA GPU. I'm not sure, but right here the entire time 1500 megahertz, and we go back to what we said here, and we can see that, I mean, the boost clock 1590 was the top that they said they would put there, and it says it's running at 1500. So yeah, I mean, it looks like they took they went towards the higher speed of that, um, to do that the entire time. And then here, yeah, like I said, I don't know. These readings are weird because it doesn't look like they're lining up to me the way they should be. But I mean, either way, we go here. Let's compare online. Let's see what other online stuff said. Graphics driver is not approved. We know that, right? And then let's go ahead and detailed score. Yeah, it's not even going to tell us where we rate on here. I'm guessing if that's just because it's too low, but I mean that was kind of known because we could tell the difference. They took the gigaarrays, I think, were almost half of what the RTX series desktop series does. So that is where they kind of killed off the card, the Max Q cards. So hopefully you're not buying it just for the gigaarrays, but we're gonna go into and load this optimized. I forgot which one this one was. It wasn't port raw. It was, this one was different than all the others. And okay, so this was Time Spy. This was the one that was recommended by 3D Mark when I launched it. We had a graphics score, or an actual score of 7198, which is weird because it says graphics score down here. Like I said, I don't know if they're taking an average of the two, but you can see here that, I mean, 73% better than all results, again in the 70s, and they actually put it above what a 4K gaming PC would do. So once again, we're seeing these weird core clocks, these clock values on here. Like I said, I'm. You guys are probably like, he's a broken record he keeps talking about, but it's definitely, I think it has to do with just the drivers, the way that they're not interacting with the system properly, or at least they're not being read properly by these benchmarks, and that's why I was hesitant to load up benchmarks of all this stuff. So we can see here though, I mean, like, if this is correct, people should be happy with this score, right? So we go back here. I know people probably want to see the thermals and everything for this, so let's go ahead and do it. Once again, if I'm seeing other things that are inaccurate, why am I going to say that, the frame rates are accurate? I don't think they are necessarily total, because this one was extremely smooth. From what I remember, this one looked really good to me. So it says here that it was, just chilling around the 50s, 40s frames per second, and then it dropped during oh, well, that's the CPU test, that's why it would drop. Then we go over here and we do, let's see, our temperature climb. Here we're going, the GPU, I don't know, I'm thinking thermal wise, they did some good job at maxing what this GPU was going to hit. So here we see 86 degrees, 87, and I want to say that's the hottest it ever got. Oh no, 88. 88 is the hottest it got for GPU wise. and you can see it fall down real quick afterwards. So of course it was maxed out, the GPU load the entire time. The clock speed's there, and then once again it drops down over here to 1. See a little spike to 12, and yeah. So hopefully this is what you guys were looking for. If not, I don't even know. It's once again, I wouldn't, as a as my professional opinion, I wouldn't take all of these stats, what you're seeing right now, as, oh yeah, I'm gonna go out and buy this computer, or I'm gonna not buy this computer. I think you should wait for more accurate testing results. But I hope and just to get into this before I end the video, is the actual, let's go into Razer Central here, right? And we can go in, you can see here that I have, we'll go to Razer Synapse, go into the system, and we'll go into performance. You can see here, like, I did run this on gaming, I left it on gaming. Yeah, that's about it. There's nowhere, like I said, to edit from what I saw the G-Sync settings. So hopefully, like I said, this is what you guys are looking for. Leave me a comment if I did something wrong or something stupid. My apologies. I yeah, I just running what the benchmarks say. I don't know why the results are like that. All I can chalk it up to is that the graphic drivers are being incorrectly read or interfaced with. So hope you guys enjoy.